remove your ass. Cause I'm the wrong nigga to fuck with.
We got the lovely, the talented, the legendary Angela Means with us for an exclusive interview. For y'all that don't know, maybe you know her as Felicia from Friday or Vita from House Party 3. But without further ado, how are you doing?
You forgot Aunt Vanessa from Cousin Skeeter.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
People trip all the time and like, oh my God, you were the mom on Skeeter.
Man, yeah, I actually forgot that until I did my homework. I was like, man, I used to love that show too. But yeah, I always like to ask first and foremost, how are you doing? How's your mental health? How are things in life? You know?
Well, I'm a entrepreneur. I work for myself, so my mental health is as good as it gets.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a creator, so
Right.
I have to be a little bit out there mentally, just about that much.
Maybe that explains me. Maybe that explains me too.
Absolutely, you got to be a little bit crazy. You got to leave the shore. Got to go out there in the deep end and swim, and even if you don't know how to swim, that gets crazy. So
right.
but I'm good. I'm strong.
All right. I definitely want to start from the beginning. You know, how did you first get into comedy, into acting, and what would you say was like the moment you kind of caught your first break? You know.
Well, I remember going into I knew that that somehow I'd land in show business. I knew my whole life. Um, sometimes it's process of elimination. Well, I know I'm not going to be no doctor. I know I'm not going to sit at a desk all day. I know but I knew in my spirit that I would be an entertainer. I didn't know how. There's a book called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, and I suggest that everyone read it. It's a little thin book. You'll read it in a day, but it's a story of someone who takes off on a journey to find out what they're all about and what they need to be doing. And we just watch the signs in life. I was the only child, so I got to pretty much see in front of me. I had no distractions. So I was able to just look at all the signs. And one thing just led to the other. One thing just led to the other. And before I knew it, I'm on a runway with Paulina Trugere wearing her elegant clothes. And I walked for Escada, Bob Mackie. And
Some big names.
just being yeah, and then just being a silly goofball, it just led me. I was a comedy connoisseur, stand-up comedy connoisseur. I loved it.
You have a favorite? Did you have a favorite growing up? Comedian? Right. Big question.
When I was coming up, there was only 3 channels when I was coming up.
Right.
It was ABC, NBC, and what was the other? ABC, NBC, and CBS.
CBS, yeah.
And then there was a UHF channel. And the first name that comes to mind obviously is Richard Pryor.
Right.
Because we would sneak and listen to his albums and tell his jokes, and I always told him really good, like. And then the other kids would come to me when they were having capping sessions and somebody was losing, they would be like, I'm gonna go get Angie. And I was just like, and I didn't know until, remember Joano came and got me, and he was like, I could hear him telling the other kids, I'm gonna go get Angie. And they was like, never mind. And I was like, wow, I'm funny. And it's like, wow, if he says I'm funny and then he's scared if I come over there and start capping.
Right.
Because I just I'm sorry, I just had a banana.
You're fine.
Because fearless and crazy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good start.
Where was this?
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Michigan.
Okay.
You know, they said that you know, comedy was the best medicine. And you know, I grew up in a little farm town, and I was fostered with my family, so I followed my uncle around, and he was a community leader, and he taught me that, you know, we took care of people however way we can. So that was going to be my way of taking care of people. When I was watching Sanford and Son, I used to
Right.
write down the jokes, and I was going to tell them to people later on in life. I was
Right.
gonna I was gonna hold on to these jokes for 40 years. Um, but yeah, I grew up in a small town right outside of Ann Arbor, farm town. We grew our own food. We cooked our own
It's
food,
dope.
and it was good living.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
of course, a lot of people know you as Felicia from Friday. Probably no escaping that at this point. I know you've had a lot to say about that character over the years. How do you feel about Felicia today and like her icon status and just, I mean, really lasting through decades?
I think it's amazing. I'm like, I mean, she is a hood rat, but I'm still honored to have portrayed her. You know,
Right.
it's like, you know, she could have been a beauty queen, you know, but the character that stuck with me is a hood rat. Who am I to question the gifts I get,
But the
right?
most famous hood rat ever.
The most famous hood rat
Yeah.
of all. That's me.
Right.
I had heard that you
But
had to do. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to
go
cut
ahead.
you.
Yeah, you're good.
But you had done a background on Felicia, like a bio, when you were preparing for the role.
yeah, I did a little bit different method than everyone else. Everyone else just kind of, you know, went for it and used their, but I used what's called the Meisner technique. And I created the character and I kind of stuck to her. She wasn't a caricature, she was a character. And I put in the work. I'm trained. And so I used my training on this. I called her. I called her to me. I wanted desperately to do something interesting. I was getting, you know, just these roles for, you know, the pretty mom, the pretty girlfriend. Um, and I wanted to do something different because I knew that I wasn't going to do it for very long. I'm tall. I'm really tall, and you know, you really, in order to have a you know, a big career, a lasting career, you have to be out there. You have to beat the path. And it was just other stuff that I wanted to do. And in particularly, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. But how I feel about Felicia now is she gave me a voice.
Right.
And she gave me a voice to do some of the things that I am doing now. I'm a vegan chef, and I've helped so many people. Like I've literally, you know, I can't make claims, but I'll just say that I've helped so many people
Right.
with food and herbs, and I've got some cookbooks coming, and I also have a herb dictionary coming at and you can go to angelameans.com, and that's where you'll find my products. But the way that I feel about Felicia today, it's, you know, it's mixed emotions. Um, Felicia's a beautiful young lady who had no guidance. She wasn't a dope fiend. She just got lost in the sauce. Her mom had, you know, her mom went from man to man, and by the time she got to Debbie's father, you know, I was, you know, I was a preteen in my bio.
Right.
So I didn't get a lot of home training, and I was left to my own devices. And I also made Felicia an Aquarian. She's an Aquarius. That was her zodiac sign.
Oh, makes
Because
sense.
who's it? Somebody's an Aquarius there.
My future wife is an Aquarius.
Well,
We'll just leave that there. I'm gonna get in trouble for that in a couple hours. So,
Well, Aquarians are free thinkers.
Very true.
They're very free thinkers, and they think outside the box. And a lot of people will look at them like they're crazy or they're different, and they are. But you really can't do anything without an aquarium, because an aquarium is the water bearer. We're actually right now we're in the age of Aquarian, and Aquarians they literally see the truth.
Right.
They're truthful beings, but and the thing about Aquarians too, they know a little bit about a lot of stuff. So,
Right.
Felicia, if we had gotten to know her, we'd realize that I mean, she she figured out electronics.
Right.
She was I mean, what girl knew how to dub a tape? What
I
girl
don't think I
Mac.
knew
knew
how
how
to
to
double tape. Right.
knew how to rig some shit? If you saw her bedroom, I mean, she probably had that bad boy booby trapped.
Right.
I mean, after AJ and them, after Ezel came to the window, sure that never happened again. So she
Right.
was
Yeah.
just different. She didn't fit in with the other kids. Um, and the Bye Felicia thing too is fun, and I love it. It's like somebody can get on your nerves, you can just say bye Felicia. But sometimes I felt like we took it too far. Um, I did an interview and I was extremely exhausted. I'm a little tired right now because I've been traveling, and I've got 4 books in production, and a line of spices. So I'm a little
Okay.
tired.
Okay.
I worked all day,
We're definitely gonna get to
but
that soon. So,
awesome. Well, I did this interview, and I was in the middle of my restaurant run, Jackfruit Cafe. We've since closed. We're looking for a new location. We just had a kitchen, and it was wearing me out because we didn't have enough space. We didn't get no elbow room.
mhm.
So we're just on hiatus right now. But I was exhausted, and I wasn't eating a whole lot of food. So when I did the interview, I was a little emotional. So people people are starting to like hit me up, it's like, "You okay? Are you? I'm so sorry. I said bye, Felicia, to you." Like it's all good.
Right.
I wept because who we think Felicia really is, like this dirty crackhead hoe that has nothing going for her. Those are actual people.
Right.
And ah, I almost started crying. And when we tell those women bye, Felicia, it's heartbreaking. And those are the women that I was saving all those Red Fox, Sanford and Son jokes for.
Right.
Those are the people that need us the most. I'm not saying that you owe anyone anything, but it's a good thing when you help someone, and especially someone who needs help. And it's a good thing when you don't hurt someone that's already hurting.
Right.
And I witnessed a lot of people, like people would come on my thread and they didn't know what I was going through. I mean, there was a time where in between, it was like Bradley's last year of college. Um, he was a starting quarterback at the University of Miami,
Right.
and he started as a freshman. He's still the all-time leading passer there. And it was so important and so vital to play by the rules while he was at the University of Miami. So, what's the department called at the NC2A, where they monitor everything?
Mm. I know what
Um,
you're talking about. I just yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they told me that, you really can't do anything except acting and stand up. And I mean, I had already been out of acting and stand up 20 years. So when um when Bradley went to school, I had to kind of like be in limbo, because if I had opened a business, any school could have said, "Oh, she's pandering to to the fan base. She's making money
Mm.
from the fan base, and
Right.
then we could be in trouble. And the University of Miami was already on sanctions, so everyone was on pins and needles. So I literally hit I hit a rough patch. You know, my tour money was my, you know, it was getting a little rough, and I was dipping into this fund and dipping into that fund, um and I was working a lot. Like I was working behind the scenes. I was private chefing, and you know, sometimes I'd look on my thread and you know, I'd post a video and the comments would just be so horrific. Remember this guy, he called me a dirty bitch.
Jeez.
And here, you know, and here I am, um, taking care of a 99-year-old woman who, you know, we were archiving her life. I was feeding her. I was working with UCLA at the time. We were exhausted, but I took such great care of this woman. And for someone to, you know, hey, we're mature enough, things are going to come at you, but if they hit you the right way and they're hitting you constantly, it's heartbreaking.
Right.
So in that interview, I actually, you know, as an actor, you have to access emotions. And in that interview that I did for Hype Comedy, I literally accessed that emotion and started crying again.
That's good though.
So
I
now,
think it's good to feel like that though. You know what I mean? I feel like Felicia was the first character like that we saw. That was because I remember watching like Menace to Society, and you had the guy wanting these cheeseburgers. Then you had Boys in the Hood and the mom that let her babies go in the street. You know, but Felicia, because it was a comedy and because it was like well written, it gave her more personality. It humanized her. So I feel like we
yeah,
saw her differently than those characters that preceded her, and we kind of saw that she deserved love. You know what I mean?
yeah, there you go. Yes, she did. Just like everybody else.
Right.
Just like
Exactly.
everybody else. And particularly the people who um, function without love,
A lot of,
you know.
unfortunately, there's a lot of
And
those.
yeah, and they don't even know
Right.
that they're not being loved because, you know, a lot of times they're pushing it away. They're hiding, so they don't know. It's like, hey, slow down.
Right.
Get a hug.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need it, right?
You had mentioned being an entrepreneur. What is the biggest lesson you've learned in that journey?
Be prepared. Be prepared for everything. Stay on your toes. But preparation is everything. Being organized. Just being organized is
Mm,
everything. And nobody is going to be as passionate about your dreams as you.
Right.
People are going to say they are, but once the work is presented, uh, I'm going to say 95% of the time people fall short. And I have big dreams, I have lofty dreams. And, um, you know, starting out, it's not a lofty income.
mm-hmm.
And nowadays, for some reason, it's like people want to start out at the top without working to get there. It's like,
Right.
wait, you
I
gotta,
have to work on that
oh
myself.
yeah,
I'm like, why is this podcast not the biggest podcast in the world yet? So
because you're interviewing Felicia.
no, this is only going to build us up even more.
It's amazing.
Messing with you. Um, just dot your I's, always dot your I's, and always have a business plan. Just like I wrote, you know, a plan for Felicia. That biography was the plan. It was the blueprint. It was how I was going to scale her as a character. So every business has to be scalable, sustainable.
Sure.
So if you can't scale it, then you can't um, expect margins and profit, and
Right.
you go into business to make money.
Sure.
So you have to do it. You have to do it on paper first, and you have to have a business plan, and you have to be able to scale it. Period. So that's my advice. Don't just do anything by the seat of your pants. Always, always, always have a plan, and always be the dumbest person in the room.
Sure.
Always be the dumbest person in the room, and listen, like be quiet sometimes, be quiet, just be quiet and take it in. And that's hard. That's a hard thing when you've got so much going on, and particularly if you're ADHD, you want to talk, you want to talk, you want to talk. But we have to check our egos sometimes. We want to let people know, yeah, I can do this, I'm the man, I can do this. But you gotta shut up sometimes. You gotta, we know what you know. Listen, you already know that. If you're telling us, you already know it. So,
Interesting. Yeah.
be quiet and get in something you don't know.
That's huge.
Yeah. Definitely.
What is your experience like being an author?
Oh, it's a dream come true. I've been a writer my whole life. And I remember friends, I remember getting awards as a child. I remember third grade, my teacher using me in one of my book reports as an example. I mean, I'm a natural writer. That's what I do. I'm a natural creative, and I'm a storyteller, and I understand story. Story just is beginning, middle, and end. That's what it
Right.
is. It comes in three. Stories comes in three parts. What's the beginning, what's the middle, and what's the end? And the way that my mind works, I'm an only child, so it's very vivid. I dream vividly. But story, man, there's nothing like story. There's nothing like using your imagination and creating a character, creating a story, creating a world. I created this world, this angel. My first book is called. It hasn't been released yet. It's called Seven Sinners and the Angel Who Loved Them.
Oh damn.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a doozy. Back in the day, in the 90s, all those rappers and singers who died tragically,
Hmm.
they were either born on a seven
Oh
or
damn.
died on a seven. And a
Whoa.
seven is
Interesting.
the seventh of the day, the seventh of the month, the 16th, or the 25th. So the
Interesting.
25th, 2 and 5 is 7, the 16th,
Damn.
1 and 6. So most of the musical icons are born on 7. Um, uh, Prince was born on the
Right.
7th. Will Smith was born on the 25th. Madonna's born on the 25th. Like the huge, huge acts, and they're dying on the 7th. Michael Jackson died on the 25th. Tupac was a 7. He was born on the 16th. Eazy-E died on a 7.
That's trippy.
Left Eye died on the 25th. Aaliyah died on the 25th. It goes all the way
It's
back to Buddy
crazy.
Holly. So, with that said, there was a there was a kid that ran in my group back in the early 90s named Lamont Bentley. And Lamont Bentley he was a character on Moesha,
Mm.
Brandy's
I
sitcom.
do
Oh
remember him.
yeah.
Yeah.
He died very tragically,
Oh yeah.
and he was also a rapper. He was ejected from his car onto the highway,
Oof.
so his body was just destroyed. You're talking about tragic. And we were at a friend's house, and we were all mourning him, and I looked him up, and I was like, "Oh my God, Lamont was a 7." Think he was born on the 7th or the 16th or the 25th. And I was like, oh my God, Lamont. And everyone just froze and were like, what's a 7? And I explained it all. So everyone was like, oh my God, am I a 7? Am I a 7? So it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There was 6 of us in the room, and it stopped right at 7.
Whoa.
And everybody freaked out. Spanky Hayes was in the room, and he was like, "Fuck this voodoo shit."
I was born on the 25th. I'm a little worried.
Well, then you don't want to be a superstar then.
Oh man. Well,
I think you're okay.
the universe already helped me out with
better
that.
live it up.
So I'm good there.
Better live it up.
So everyone got freaked out, and the party was kind of over. And I just said, "Okay, God, here's a plot." So I've sat on this story for like 25 years, and I've been it's been gnawing at me, gnawing at me, gnawing at me, and I've already done the first. As a matter of fact, that's my publisher texting us right now. I'll call you tomorrow. Okay. Um, um, the story just oozed out of me because I am a writer. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, you're fine.
Um, and it's magnificent. So in my mind, there's a seventh angel. There's an angel that's assigned to this for some reason, and so it's like a final destination. So those 6 people are dying in order,
Wow.
and they don't know why they're
Interesting.
dying. And then the number 6 figures it out.
Okay, yeah.
And then the number 7, who's a star, that dies. So it's like a final destination meets yeah, it's pretty.
Sounds like
it's
should
really
be a movie too. So
well, most books are made from movies,
Right.
so we'll see. We'll see. So that's my first book. I actually I'm here working on the sequel now before the first one's even published, and then we'll get the third one. So we'll have a trilogy, and then we'll get a movie made.
Cool.
Yeah.
So they had Paul Anthony, right, from House Party.
from Full Force, from House Party 1 and 2. We interviewed him on this show as well.
Nice.
So I was just gonna ask you about your work on House Party 3. That was the first time I ever saw you in movies, was as Vita, and I didn't even know that you were the same person that played Felicia till years and years later. But could you tell us a little bit about that? About House Party 3?
It was my first job. I had
First job. Wow. Okay. You did so good.
I mean, I was supposed to do it. Like, I was supposed to do it. Kid helped me a lot. My managers at the time was Russell Simmons managed me, and Stan Lathan, and because of Def Jam, and they were looking for opportunities for the Def Jam comedians, and I just went in, and I was Vita, and some of my reviews was she was the sweetest of the sweethearts, and that's how I wanted to play her. I didn't want to play her, I didn't want to play her too jealous of Sydney or getting on him about his career. Like, I wanted her to be supportive. I wanted her to be sweet. I wanted her to be human, but I didn't want her to, be busting his balls every 5 minutes about being a young man that's human,
Right.
and about having this past relationship with a beautiful woman. I didn't want her to be insecure like that. And the director let me go with it. She wasn't, you always saw her saying, "Well, Sydney," but she was just trying to get her foothold. She wanted her man, but she also didn't take away from what he had with Sydney, because she had a lot of respect for Sydney, and that's a Tisha Campbell role.
Yeah.
The big booty girl.
The big booty girl.
Right.
I remember the director said, "So your eyeline's over here," and Kid was standing next to me, and I was like, I tried to play it off, and I was like, standing next to me, I remember saying, "What's an eyeline?" He was like, "Nigga, where you look?" Where you look. That's your eye line. Kid's funny though. Um,
Right.
but it was an experience. It went by in a flash, and I kept telling myself, enjoy, Angie, enjoy all these moments, because at any given time, only 3% of the registered SAG members are working.
Right.
97% of the actors are sitting at home waiting on a phone call. So, right? So
Right.
every time I got a job, I just savored it. Like I savored it and enjoyed it and respected it. I showed up prepared. Um, I showed up happy. I showed up um, in character. I did my jobs. And here we are 30 years later, and people are still celebrating the characters I portrayed.
And
So I did my thing.
did a
Incredible.
lot of people from that movie get the job for Friday because of that movie? Because I noticed so much of the cast is the same. So like Chris Tucker, AJ Johnson. So
I think that was Chris Tucker's first movie, wasn't
yeah,
it?
I think that's the first time I
Yeah.
saw him.
Well, you have to understand too, that was right in the middle of the black comedy explosion, and
Right.
all those actors were stand-up comics.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Bernie
Oh,
Mac,
Bernie Mac.
Chris Tucker,
So-
Best.
myself, AJ Johnson,
Yep.
all stand-up comedians, and all very, very popular stand-up comedians, and people were asking for us. They were asking to see us. So yeah, we were going from project to project. Um, um, it was such a beautiful, unique era, and it's just a testament to the importance of black comedy during that time. Most of your actors were either stand-ups or rappers.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's what trained us. I mean, you had your thespians, your Denzel Washingtons, your Lawrence Fishburnes, Samuel L. Jacksons, Delroy Lindos. They all came out of the theater.
Right.
But then you had them people that came up out the streets,
Oh
and
yeah.
those were the comics and the rappers, the LL Cool J's, the Ice Cubes, the Queen Latifahs.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
then all the stand up, the Kid and Play, the
Oh
Will
yeah.
Smith came up out the street.
Yeah.
Will Smith didn't go to New York repertoire, right?
Right.
Um, Chris Rock, um, myself. It was just people who were so talented and so ready and so raw, and could carry the projects. And we did. We put some great stuff in the can. There's some great movies from the 90s. Some projects that probably people are going to chase the smoke behind them, like Friday. There'll never be another Friday. They're
They've
trying so
tried. Yeah.
desperately. Well, here's why. It was lightning in a bottle. You got to remember the times. It was the mid 90s. It was the early mid 90s, and everything was about the gangs. So anything that you saw coming out of Los Angeles in black was either about the Bloods or the Crips.
Right.
Then it was in the middle of the black comedy explosion. So you had all these, it was huge. Black comedy literally took over the nation. Def Comedy Jam
Yeah.
took over. So now you got all this violence in LA. You got all this raw talent, and Cube and DJ Pooh was like, let's tell the story of the real LA. Let's show people what families are really like in Los Angeles. And that's what they set out to do. And they were just so smart. Friday was literally Def Jam the movie,
Right.
And then he had the foresight of putting in some really strong actors, Regina King,
Oh yeah.
Nia Long. But then, the comics carried it. The comics carried it. You know, um, Paula J. Parker, another strong actor who was trained, but surround her with, with strong comedians. I mean, you're just you're just not going to get that kind of energy anymore, that kind of vibe, those kind of stories, because it was just so right there in your face, and you wanted to see these comics more and more and more. Now all you got to do is go on Instagram and you can see a comic every other
Yeah,
post. It's a comic being funny.
it's definitely changed.
It's changed, and people aren't as hungry and as thirsty for comedy. So I know that there are good comics now, but the comics that came through in the early mid '90s, there'll never be another crop.
Right.
There'll never be another Chris Tucker. There'll never be another AJ Sanders. There'll never be another AJ Johnson. There'll never be another Eddie Griffin. There'll
Right.
never be another Faison Love. Bernie Mac, Adele Givens, Angela Me, Joe Torre. They will never,
Right.
ever, ever be another crop of comics like that.
It's true.
Because we broke the door down. We busted in.
I know you got another question. Real quick, I want to just tell our chat, if any of you have any questions in the chat, feel free to put them in. We'll try to get them in. Yeah. But
going back to that time, what was it like working with Ice Cube?
Ice Cube was one of us. He was one of us. I mean, he was the boss, but he was one of us. He was kind. He was funny. He was always funny. I didn't get to, when you're on work, it is still work, and so I didn't really get to socialize with those guys that much because I stayed in character. When I got to set, I was in character. And then I went straight to makeup. Like, you don't hang out on set, and it's not a party. Those guys built rapport. I know him and Chris. They probably did their things off set and whatnot. But I came to work, and then I went home, and then I couldn't really socialize that much because I got pregnant during the shoot. My son is the Friday baby. So I was 5 months pregnant at the premiere.
That's incredible.
So, but
95?
I had him September 1995.
wow, okay.
But Cube was the consummate professional. He was kind. He was funny. He was gracious, and he was very, very approachable, and just everything that you'd want in a boss. Very, very relatable. So
That's
we only
amazing.
crossed paths a couple of times. So yeah.
Now let's talk cooking. That's something I've recently picked up myself.
Good.
At the early stages of that.
He called me from the grocery store like, do you know they got this? And then I'm like, yes, we know.
You had
New cook. That's funny.
yeah, for sure. Brand new. You had talked about owning a restaurant and all the challenges that come with that, especially surviving COVID through that whole process. How do you source high quality ingredients in that market? Like, how do you do that?
It's tough. Particularly sourcing anything in the United States. I mean, the soil is done. Like, no fruit tastes like fruit anymore. I grew up on a farm. I know what fruit tastes like. Watermelon has no flavor now. Strawberries have no flavor. Fruit here has no flavor. So your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I worked with jackfruit. Fresh produce that I worked with came from suppliers. Like a restaurant, you go straight to the there's one middleman. He's going right to the farm, and they're packaging. Or there's giant distribution, Cisco, U.S. Foods, Restaurant Depot.
Right, sure.
But listen, anybody can cook, and you know what the best meal is? You know what the best meal that you will crave is? You go get you some just go get you some vegetables. Get you some sweet potatoes. get some beets, get some okra, some string beans, a red tomato, cherry tomatoes. Chop them into little cubes like that. Put them in the oven. Put a little oil on them, some olive oil, some avocado oil, some salt and pepper. Any kind of spice you want to put on it, put it on it. Any kind of season you want to put on it. Roast them on 350 for about 35 minutes, and then put them on top of some quinoa and some fresh chopped greens, some kale. Man,
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do. People come to me all the time. Oh, vegan's too expensive. Vegan's too expensive. That's because you're trying to eat that fake meat. And that fake meat, in order for them to scale, in order for them to have profits, because it's so expensive to make, it has to be expensive. You're spending $6 on 2 little patties of smashed vegetables. And that stuff's not really that good for you.
Right.
What you want to eat, what your body craves, is what's called whole foods, not processed, not full of preservatives and chemicals, not man-made stuff that comes out of the ground. All protein originates in the ground. We want to be as strong as an ox and eat the ox, but the ox eats grass.
Yeah,
So just skip the ox.
Never thought of it that way.
Skip the ox. Go to the source.
Make it make sense.
Right.
A gorilla would come through there and tear that whole studio up. Tear that motherfucker up.
Right.
He eats berries and twigs. We're sitting around talking about, I need protein. Like you're going to be rushed to the hospital with a protein deficiency.
Damn.
Have you ever had anybody with you call them, I'm in the hospital, been in the hospital for a month. I have a protein deficiency.
No, definitely not. That makes a lot of sense. I can't believe I haven't thought about it like that before now. So.
And they're talking about, a lot of times they'll say, these are fangs.
Oh yeah.
that he bought. Well, if that were the case, the hippopotamus has the longest fangs in the jungle.
Right.
And he only eats herbs.
There you go.
He don't even eat fruit.
Right.
He only eats leaves. And he's probably as big as that room you're in.
Right.
He ranked number 3 on our most deadly animals if you get in close quarters. That was a month or 2 ago. I don't know.
Not even.
And this motherfucker eating leaves.
Right.
The dangerous person in the world. And we want to be the man. Meat and potatoes. It's all marketing. Meat is the biggest industry in the world. So they market your ego. Oh, you're a meat and potatoes man. And that's why men started having heart attacks like that. Damn. Massive heart attacks. What happens is you only have so much energy in your body. And your digestive tract is like a mile.
Right.
Listen, lions, tigers, and bears, their digestive tract is that short. They eat, shit, and sleep. Excuse me, my profanity.
No, you're good. You're good. We
okay,
we
good.
cuss
I
all the
should have
time.
asked first.
No, you're fine.
All right.
Oh, the time out.
Uh-oh. Was that my phone?
It's all right. Yeah, I think someone's trying to call you or something, but.
Okay, on my back, I ignored it.
It wasn't the profanity.
No.
That's what it was.
We're like, you okay, Blunt?
What do I do? I don't know what to do.
Hit the camera on the bottom, maybe? Let's see.
Oh, that's exactly what I
There
do.
you go.
All right, fantastic.
All right.
So, God, what was I saying? I was about to get deep.
Meat
too.
and
Meat and
Potatoes. Like marketing.
Meat and
meat.
potatoes. Golly. Marketing. So what happens is, listen, you have so much energy in your body. And if you are meat.
Right.
You put meat inside of meat, where's it going to go? It's not going anywhere. It wants to stick. Like attracts like. So now you're telling your body, you put some chicken, chicken is flesh. We have it's the same.
Right.
You put chicken inside of your body, you don't have those enzymes like lions and bears and stuff that break that down. And you're telling your body to digest what you are, first of all, which is weird for your body. So now you're getting headaches and migraines and anxiety and mental illness, and you don't know why. Now you're all energy. You're resonating. Everyone has an energy. And you put this food inside of you that requires a bunch of energy. So now your digestive system is going all day, every day. You never get any rest because your digestive system is working overtime to break all this stuff down. Now your digestive system has to go and steal energy from your brain. Now you're sitting there. You had this big meal. You're sitting there all groggy, laughing and stuff. We African Americans call it the itis.
The
Now you're
itis,
sitting
yeah.
there. You know about the itis?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, now you're sitting there laughing. You got the itis.
Right.
Now that's still not enough because all you ate was a big old porterhouse steak, and your body's really got to grind. So now it's taking energy from the brain. Now it's got to go rob the heart.
Right.
It's like, Debo, give me that energy, Paul. And your heart is just like, man, you can't keep doing this to me. You can't keep doing this to
Damn.
me. And that's my energy. My grandmama gave me that energy. And then eventually, the digestive system comes to Debo the heart one more time. And the heart says, you know what, dude? I'm not even fucking with you no more. I'm out.
Damn.
I can't do it no more. And that's what massive heart attacks are. There's a lot of them around the holidays when you really, really overeat. And a lot of them happen in the morning because the digestive system, one of the reasons that you don't eat before you go to bed is that shit, you don't get any rest because your digestive system is working. You wake up tired. It's like, why am I tired? Because your digestive system has been running a marathon all night. Then you wake up and you go throw some bacon and eggs and cheese and butter and bread and milk in it. The
Right.
worst things that you could eat ever. Like, it's the worst things that you could eat ever. And that's what you go to the grocery store for. That's where they make their money off of the first meal of the day. Eggs, butter, milk, bacon, bread. That's where they make their money.
Yeah.
And if you're not consuming these, they can't make any money. And so then this industry passes you off to the next industry, which is medication.
Oh yeah.
Because it's hand in hand. You can't eat a whole bunch of meat and not be on a whole bunch of pills.
Right.
And people have just adjusted to this way of life and thinking, well, that's what happens. My parents did. Well, no, you didn't inherit disease. What you inherited was DNA and a diet. You inherited their diet. So when you eat like your parents and your grandparents, then you're going to get the same diseases
Right.
as your parents and your grandparents. So you can stop it. You can literally meal prep on Mondays and Thursdays and cut up all these vegetables. I'm telling you, throw some Brussels sprouts in the oven with some okra and sweet potatoes and golden beets.
Definitely giving a lot of people, I'm sure, watching something to think about, dropping a lot of knowledge.
People say and also they say it's hard. It's hard to go vegan. What I always suggest for people to do is just commit to 2 days. Do meatless Monday and fleshless Friday. So on Monday, you do not touch meat. Do those fake meats, but only do them for a while you're trying to transition. You really don't need to do them. You'll get my cookbooks. I'll show you how to make your own meat. You can make meat from walnuts. You can make meat from tomatoes. Fish does not. Seaweed doesn't taste like fish. Fish tastes like seaweed. Fish is only, you put your seasonings in the pot of water to boil, and then you put something in there so it'll take on the taste of the seasonings.
Do you do that?
Well, fish just been swimming in seasonings. So fish tastes like seaweed. So if you get some seaweed and you smash it up in some tomatoes and roll it up in some more seaweed and rice, you will literally No one can tell you that it's not tuna. If you
Wow.
get some seaweed, some kelp seasoning, and smash it up in some chickpeas, get some kelp seasoning, Bragg's kelp seasoning. They have it everywhere. And get a nice generous amount. Smash it up in some chickpeas and some vegan mayo, some salt, some relish. Put it on some toast and give it to someone. They will not question that it's not a tuna sandwich.
Mm.
They will
Wow.
not even question it. It'll freak you out how much it's a tuna fish sandwich. So there's so many alternatives, and you just feel good. You just feel good. It's like, I mean, just think about, you're putting a dead person in your body. And yet
Right.
that nigga's dead.
That's crazy.
I'm going to cut him up, cook him. Now the whole time he's decomposing. You are eating a decomposing, doped up, raped, tortured
Jeez.
baby animal.
I think I'm vegan already after this conversation.
Listen, every piece of beef you've ever had has been raped.
Wow.
Every one. They don't let the cows have sex. So what they do is they separate the bull, and there's only a couple of bulls, and so in order to get the semen from him, they put an electric pod up his anus to make him ejaculate.
Jesus.
Now they get the gold and they take it over to the female cow who's housed elsewhere. But for some reason, there's this dude with this long plastic sleeve on, and he's fisting her, and he's got to fist her for 20 minutes, and nobody really understands why he's got to do that, but okay, if you say so, you got to fist
Jeez.
this cow, and he really gets into it. So he's raping her.
Wow.
Can you imagine that's your job?
It's crazy.
I'm I'm a fuck a cow for 20 minutes.
Well,
So then they put the
I didn't know
then they
that.
put the semen inside of her. She gets pregnant. She has the exact same gestation period as
yeah.
us. She attaches to that baby, and when the baby comes out, if it's a male, they slit his throat before his hooves even hit the ground because they got enough bulls. That's your veal or
Wow.
your ground up meat. And then if it's a girl, then she's tied to, and the cycle starts all over again. They call what they tie them to, it's called the rape rack. And they go for about, and they take that baby cow, and that mother cries for months, like the sickest cry. Can you imagine having a baby and someone just comes and snatches it from her?
Yeah.
She can't even, they snatch it from her, and they take it over because that milk doesn't belong to that baby. That milk belongs on your cereal. Would you eat dog milk on your cereal? What's the difference in a
Right.
dog and a cow? Would you eat your sister-in-law's milk if she had a baby and there was no milk in the cow? Would you say,
No.
can you squirt some of that in my coffee?
No.
Why not? What's so special about
Right.
a
No, it
cow?
makes sense. Definitely a lot to think about for sure. My mind's already
Yeah, me too.
racing.
But I think that's important because I think in our in our culture, Black and Latino, a lot of it's
Yes.
around food.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And then you're being told you can't leave the table till you clear your plate.
Ugh.
And we grow
You
up
like-
like that and have good times around the table, and I think that part's important. But
Yep. That's
Yes,
true.
all of our celebrations, are around food and our festivities. Listen, you like meat because you're seasoning it with plants.
Damn. We have
Season plants with plants.
definitely. We'll get you out of here on this question. We have a question from the chat.
Okay.
Shout out to Native Son. He just wants to know what's a good beginner's vegan grocery list for like a week.
Well, I said the vegetables.
Okay.
You want to just, it's the best. It's the best meal. I wish I could show you a picture of it right now. It's the best freaking meal ever. Just get you some sweet potatoes, get some Brussels sprouts, and you cook them all together. Get
Right.
sweet potatoes, Brussels sprouts, okra, any vegetable you can think of. Get some string beans. Get any vegetable that you can think. Carrots. Um, cut them into cubes. Put them all on the baking dish. Put a little oil on them, some salt and pepper, and bake them. And you will have, get some asparagus, roast that, tomatoes, red onions, just roast some vegetables and put them on top of some quinoa, some rice, or some pasta, and then any sauce that you want. I like making sauce out of cashews. You just literally soak the cashews overnight, put them in the blender, and it's the best cream sauce. You just put in salt, pepper, what's called nutritional yeast. Get you some nutritional yeast for this sauce. A little lemon juice, a little pop of lemon juice, a little
Yep.
pop of vinegar. Pop that in there. You got the best sauce, and you could throw fruit in there, or you can just buy some vegan sauces. They got ranch, they got chipotle sauces.
They're
There's
at,
all
they're
kind of
they're
sauces.
asking for a cookbook in the chat.
It'll be out. Please go to angelameans.com, angelameans.com, and just fill out the contact us, and I will get back to you personally. Just go to angelameans.com, and on the bar you'll see where it says contact us, and the books will be ready. They're going to Amazon. I think they go to Amazon either this week or next week, and then Amazon, it takes them a couple of weeks to approve them. They go through that stuff with a fine tooth comb. So um, it's probably going to be like another couple of weeks. But please go to angelameans.com and um, go to the contact and just fill that contact sheet out. And I'm gonna update you on everything. But just get the vegetables. And then if you got to do, um, there's a fish by Gardein. Go get some Gardein fish fillets.
Okay.
Man, you won't tell the difference. I promise you.
I'll
I
trust you.
promise you. I promise you. I did and then Daring Chicken, Daring Chicken. Oh my God. So I did a festival the other day. I was hosting, there's a world's largest vegan festival. It's called Vegan Street Fair. And I saw a lot of first time vegans. And a brother was standing at Burger Guys. They're very, very famous here in Los Angeles. And they were giving me a burger out the back door. And this brother was standing there. He's like, all right, man, this is first time. This is first time. So the dude got his burger and he tried to walk away, and he didn't want to see us. He didn't want us to see him bite into it in case it repulsed him. This dude, he bit into it. And he like bit into it. He was like, what the fuck?
Right.
He was like, this is good. He had the Beyond Burger. So there's the Beyond Burger, there's the Impossible Burger, but I don't suggest you eat it all the time because they're real high in fat, and they're high in, they're just high in a whole bunch of crap, chemicals and stuff. So when you're transitioning, it's okay occasionally, but you want to eat whole foods. That's what see this right here. People take this thing right here for granted. This is a thumb, and it's made for picking.
Right. Yeah.
You know why you're not meant to eat animals? Because you can't run down no deer and rip them apart with your hands and your teeth.
There you go.
You have thumbs. They're meant for picking apples and oranges and picking potatoes out of the ground. That's what you do. If you just look at yourself, like just look at us. We are not. How did we get there? And it's all money. It's all propaganda. And they tell people who are on dialysis, protein, 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 keep eating it. And it just kills them faster. There's money in cancer. Watch a documentary called The C Word. The C Word. Watch that one. Watch a documentary called What the Health. What the Health. And all of these are available online. What the Health and The C Word. And then you've got to watch a documentary called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. Nobody should be on medication. There's no reason for it. You've just got to keep everything clean. Keep everything clean and eat things with nutrients, and you will be fine. But when you start eating decomposing flesh, so you take a celery stalk, you cut the end of a celery off and put it in water. Come back in 3-4 days, it's going to be little leaves. And then in a week, it's going to be a whole brand new celery stalk. God just giving you food.
Damn.
Now, take a baby back beef rib and put it in some water.
Yep.
And come back in a week later and see what grows.
Yep.
It's just right in front of us, but we've been brainwashed. We've been led to believe that we need this protein thing. Arnold Schwarzenegger did a movie called Game Changers. I mean, he's had 2 heart attacks.
Right.
All those bodybuilders go out, their heart just gives out.
Yeah.
It can't digest this shit. The strongest man in the world is vegan. In every one of those, the last Olympics, everyone that won is vegan. The strength that you have, the clarity that you have as a vegan, like I couldn't do half the. I didn't start my restaurant until I was 55 years old, and I could run circles around 20-year-olds. Even now,
Right.
I can run circles around 20-year-olds. My energy is ridiculous. I get tired, but my grandmother didn't look like this at my age. My grandmother was an old lady. I let my hair go gray. I just don't want to put the chemicals in it.
Yeah.
I don't do too much makeup. The makeup I do is it's natural makeup. I don't do fingernail polish. I don't do deodorant. I don't need it. I do inside cleaning, so there's nothing coming out of me.
Right.
I mean, you could literally come and put your nose in my armpits. You're not going to smell anything. Chlorophyll. You put little drops of chlorophyll, which is plant blood. Right. We have the exact same compound as plants. We're just house plants. We just need the sun and some water.
There you go. Yeah. Well, man, that's a lot to think about, but I just want to thank you so much again for giving us your time. You dropped a lot of gems, a lot of knowledge, gave people some good memories. And for those of you that don't know, Angela and me have been communicating for like about 4 months now, and the timing wasn't lining up, but we made it happen. She gave us her time, and just thank you once again. And what's your website one more time?
AngelaMeans.com.
AngelaMeans.com.
And then my IG is Chef Angela Means, and I'm always on there. And you can always inbox me questions. But whole foods. Get you some cabbage, get you some Brussels sprouts, get you some carrots, get you some sweet potatoes, and then go to the Mexican markets. Go to the Asian markets. Get different kinds of vegetables. Experiment and just throw it in the oven. You get home from work. If you've already prepped it, you get the vegetables that you want, put them on a pan, throw them in the oven. Go take your shower. When you come out, your dinner's ready, and you're going to enjoy it. And you're going to sleep like a baby, and you're going to feel good, and you're going to be able to just go and brush your shoulders off. We'll have to do that tomorrow night since we got the show tonight. But nice, awesome. Well, Angela, thank you so much, and I hope we could have you back sometime for sure. I'd love to. I'd love to when the book comes out. Maybe we can do something where I'm in the kitchen and I can cook something for your folks. Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right. Well, you have a good night. Thank you. And we'll see you soon. So much. Of course. Thank you. All right, dear.